Now, if you're a football fan, the Patriots' fall from grace, I'm sure, is probably you're probably ecstatic. You're probably dancing on the Patriots' grave right now because they just played two of the worst games they have ever played in my whole entire life. Absolutely pathetic. Mac Jones is maybe one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, like worst starting quarterbacks. I actually can't even believe that there's no way that he's going to be starting next week. They're playing the Raiders, but either way. So Collectibles Guru actually tweeted out, this is a tweet that kind of popped up every now and then. It was the first original Mac Jones Donruss PSA 10 sold back in November of 2021 for $3,000. The current value of that card is $10.50, which comes out to a 99.65% drop. Now, that tweet and the context, I think, is definitely important. You know, that type of tweet is always going to get it's always going to get likes and retweets and, favorites and all these kinds of things because it's like, I don't know. It's the crowd of people, the I told you so people in sports cards are very prevalent in most cases, if I'm going to be honest. Like, they love being able to say I told you so when it's like we all know that the first card that sells as a PSA 10 of the first product always is way higher. Not even just the first product, but the first card that sells, of whether it's the first card from the product or it's the first card that's a PSA 10, it always sells for more. Now, granted, this card is the $3,000 purchase. I think that it was a purchase, but it doesn't, it just doesn't make much sense to me, if I'm going to be completely honest, because if you're spending $3,000 on a sports card, why wouldn't you be doing the research to figure out what you're even buying? Because, $3,000, if this card sold for $300, I would be surprised. I would have been surprised back then, which it obviously was. And that $3,000 price tag, it dropped. It just kept dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. Obviously, more and more people were getting that card graded, so there was more versions of it, which is kind of part of the other tweet, which I'm going to get to. But at the same time, it's just if you're spending $3,000 on a sports card, even if you have the extra money, $3,000 on something is and I don't know. I guess maybe if you're in the position to spend $3,000, it's a paradox maybe, where it's if you have $3,000 to spend on a sports card, maybe you wouldn't do the research. But it's if someone that doesn't just have $3,000 laying around is looking to buy a sports card and they're looking to spend $3,000, wouldn't they want to put in more research to learn that it would take you 2 seconds to find out that Donruss is actually one of the worst products? And even though it's the first product, it's not by far anywhere close to the best. It doesn't make any sense. So, and then obviously, as that card gets sold, it's going to start getting graded more and more. And then the other tweet that I found that was very interesting from Collectibles Guru was, he was basically saying PSA has graded twice as many Wander Franco cards as Albert Pujols. Now, this tweet maybe, again, context I think is important here. There are probably twice as many, if not more than twice as many, Wander Franco cards just at all, rookie cards, Bowman cards, autographed Bowmans, all these kinds of things. Compared to Albert Pujols, there's just, if you're comparing the two players, sure, 2001, that was in an era where cards were being produced at a similar level as they are today. Now, 2020, 2021, and then 2022, and with Wander Franco being one of the biggest players, and grading too. I think this is the other kind of part. It's grading has become so much more prevalent over the past couple years that, obviously the most popular player, which I guess I don't really, I'm not 100%, I think Albert Pujols maybe was in the news or something, and that's why he's picking the correlation between the two. I'm not 100% sure where the players correlate in terms of why it's important that we're comparing Wander Franco to Albert Pujols, which, granted, also the other thing that I think is interesting is Albert Pujols still has 70,000 cards graded by PSA. Wander Franco, 140. I'm actually surprised that 140,000 isn't a little bit higher, if I'm going to be honest, because of how many cards of his there are. Like, how many different versions of Bowman's, how many different autographs, how many different rookie cards. Like, he's in every set. He's the top player in every set. He's in every insert set. There are just so many more. He's in so many more specific sets and insert sets, but then the production is also probably a lot higher. So, I don't know. I mean, it's one of, I guess, the dangers of sports cards. Like, if you're prospecting, like, obviously, Wander Franco may or may not ever play in Major League. He may not play baseball ever again. Here, maybe like somewhere else he might play. But I would be pretty surprised if he ever plays another pitch in the MLB. Like, I mean, unless somehow the investigation comes out and everything was just false and there are no truths to any of the stuff that was coming out. Because the stuff that was coming out was not the best. I mean, I get that he's younger, but at the same, and he's from a different country, but it's like, dude, come on. How was there not someone in your life that was like, hey, dude, stop doing that? Like, you are one of the most important players for a team that's going to pay you a lot of money. Stop doing that. You can go do that stuff with people that where it's legal. It's whatever. Like I said, I'm not going to get totally into it because whatever. But like, it's one of the dangers of prospecting. Same with Mac Jones. I mean, I think, and this is the whole point of this episode, was kind of to point out that, like, two players that were at the height of the hobby and the height of the craze are just, like, almost non-existent. They're almost both out of the league. Like, Wander Franco for sure, probably, but then Mac Jones is another guy. It's like, before the season, I was a pretty big Mac Jones guy, to be completely honest, because I want to be optimistic. They got the offensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator for Alabama, but he has just been so bad this year, and it's actually sad. I'm actually disappointed that he's doing so bad because I had high hopes for him, but those are kind of, I don't know. I'm actually ending this. I'm ending this show on a little bit of a sad note because I'm just thinking about the Patriots losing, and it's really just it's bringing me down. It's bringing me down real bad. Like, I'm in a real bad spot from a fan's perspective. Red Sox were terrible. I mean, the Celtics, obviously they're exciting, but I don't want to get. I'm a Boston guy, so I don't want to get totally into this. So here's where we go. I'm just gonna wrap up the show basically right now. Those were two tweets from Eric Whiteback. I mean, if you want to go engage with them on Twitter, you can probably find them pretty easily. They were pretty interesting to me about two sports card stars that really have just completely fallen off the map. So now it looks like Nat Turner is putting out, at least this is the second year that he's done it, like I talked a little bit about in the intro. He's going to be putting out like his top things that were graded, because on this list there is it looks like there is a Baseball Writers America Association card here. That's on this list. That's kind of one of the ones that is a little bit less exciting. But I think the interesting thing with this list is that last year this list revealed that the Mike Trout Superfractor autograph had been cross-graded from, it was in originally, because Vegas Dave did the big video and the big press tour about the Mike Trout but that he bought, and it was in a BGS holder. And the list last year basically it revealed that the Mike Trout card had been crossed over to PSA. Now, I thought that was weird too, because it seemed like that should be a way bigger deal, and it felt like there really wasn't much press that was done about the card. It felt like it didn't get really, they tweeted about it a little bit later on, but it almost felt like there could have been a whole, it felt like that should have been the main focus of some sort of marketing campaign to try and cross your cards. The biggest modern day sports card got crossed, and they didn't really talk that much about it. But that's not the point of this. That's not the point of this podcast. That's what happened on last year's list. Here were some of the cards that I found interesting. I'm just going to name them off, and then I'm going to kind of I'm going to talk about some that I thought were interesting. So there was another O-Pee-Chee, Wayne Gretzky, that got graded a PSA 9. I think there's only two PSA 10s of the O-Pee-Chee, and I think there were roughly 9 or 10 PSA 9s, if I'm not mistaken. There might have been more than that, but another 9 got graded. Like I said, a Baseball Writers Association card got graded. A George Mikan 1948 Bowman got graded and received a PSA 8, which is pretty wild. I actually think that might be one of the most underrated cards in all of the hobby. Modern day basketball wouldn't be what it is today without George Mikan. and I really don't think people realize that. Like, he's probably one of the most influential players in all of sports, and not even just basketball, like all of sports. Like, there were multiple rules that are like staples in the modern day NBA rulebook that were like goaltending was created. Basically, I think it was goaltending. Like, he has a bunch of rules basically that were created because he like was such a dominant player when he was playing back in the 40s. There was a 10-10 Steph Curry National Treasures. It looks like it is. I don't see if it's numbered or not. So it is. Oh, so it's gold. So I think that means it's numbered 10. So it was a number to 10 gold 10-10. A National Treasures RPA. That's a big card. Probably the biggest card that came out of this year's Topps Chrome for soccer was a Messi, Ronaldo, Holland, 1-of-1 triple autograph. That got graded. That received a PSA 9. It doesn't look like they graded the autos on there. There was also a Jordan 97 Skybox EX 2001. That received a PSA 10. A Mickey Mantle, a 68 Mickey Mantle, PSA 10 got graded. I'm guessing that maybe is like one of Nat Turner's favorite sets, because that doesn't seem like a massive card. Maybe it's just, I'm not sure why that was on this list here, but either way, a 2012 gold Prism LeBron James. So 2012 first year Prism. LeBron still on the Heat. A gold numbered to 10 got graded. That received a PSA 10. The 1-of-1 Caitlin Clark autograph coming out of Bowman Chrome U. It looks like Bowman's Best. So it was Bowman's University Best, which this was one of her first autographs as well. In the Bowman Chrome U, I think that one came out first. I would say that's probably going to be a bigger card for her, but this card got graded. One of the other 1-of-1s from like her kind of rookie first Bowman year got graded a PSA 9. And then the 2018 Topps Chrome Shohei Ohtani Red Jersey Superfractor. I do believe that this was a variation. That also received a PSA 10, which is very interesting. Now, this list, the cards on here I think are really cool, but I do think that it was a little, I don't know, I feel like maybe it was a little underwhelming. Honestly, just based on the simple fact that like last year, probably the best card was on this list, that Mike Trout card. I do think like this, the Caitlin Clark is a big card. I think that triple Topps Chrome autograph is actually like an insane card. Same with the George Mikan. I mean, I don't know. I think the George Mikan, I really think that there's probably only like 1 or 2 PSA 10s. I also think that 48 Bowman set was one of the first Bowman basketball sets in color. I think that was because I remember when I was doing videos for Collectible, the Mikan card was one of the cards that I did some videos on. I'm pretty sure looking into the set, it might have been for baseball. It was the first colored card with color. So I think it was the same for basketball as well. But either way, like I said, that's a super underrated card. The Wayne Gretzky super awesome card, and then also he also then kind of put like the rest of the best. Like there was the 1-of-1 Topps Chrome Erling Haaland auto, which is a pretty good one. I'm just kind of scrolling through to see if anything catches my eye here at the end of the episode. A 81 Topps Magic Johnson got graded a PSA 10. That's technically Magic Johnson's first single card. Like he had the Bird Dr. J triple card, but that's like that was an 1980 Topps. But then at 81, him and Bird they got their first cards like with only one person. Yeah, let's see if there's anything else. I mean, those are some of the big cards on that list. I think there are some cool stuff. I mean, I talked about it yesterday with grading. It's just become so prevalent that like if everything is getting graded nowadays, and I think it's going to get maybe potentially harder to buy and sell base rookies that aren't graded. Like we're already seeing that, and I think I actually saw an interesting tweet from Darren Ravel talking about how many Zion, and this is, I'll make this quick point and then I'll wrap up the episode because this point isn't really about that list, but there was like 60,000 or something total Zion Prism cards, which is like insane. No, sorry. It was 20,000 PSA 10s, which, like I said, still an absolutely insane number. I think the grading has really, it's gotten, I don't know, out of control isn't really the word that I'm looking for. It's like, it's gotten maybe to a point where it's like everything needs to be graded by, and especially now that PSA has opened back up. And maybe this is another conversation for another day. So I am going to wrap up actually the episode because, like I said, everything getting graded, that's kind of not really what we're talking about here. But like I said, I'll wrap up the episode there. On today, let's see, who was it? It was Mike Summer posted a really good article. What he learned from running an LCS for the past 3 years. Make sure you go check out that article at hobbynewsdaily.com. Also, check us out on Twitter and Instagram at hobbynewsdaily. Also, if you go to our Twitter, make sure to like and retweet. We were on the Chase the David Adams show, me and Danny and I, on Friday. So make sure, go show some love on that. Let David Adams know that how, I don't know how strong, it seems like a weird thing to say because I don't think I've ever said that before, but like how, if you're listening to this episode, let him know that you listened to the interview. If you did listen to the interview, hopefully you enjoy. Thank you all, and I'll see you in the next episode. All right, so, it seems like these are happening almost on a weekly or a couple times a month basis nowadays. Unfortunately, there's another controversy that Topps has gotten into. Apparently, they were selling Topps Update with a certain configuration. I think from what I was reading online, it was 24 packs of 20 cards. I think that's what it was, or 24 packs of 20 cards. But now people are getting the Topps Update boxes, and there's only 20 packs in them. There's 4 less packs than what they were selling. And this, I've got 2 kind of main points about this. The first one is that this is fairly, which actually this first point has another 2 points, so there's a couple different things in here. It's going to be fairly easy for them to fix this, but unfortunately, the way that the sports card model that we have currently, unfortunately, someone along the way, and I was talking about this on Twitter a little bit, unfortunately, somewhere along the way, someone's going to lose out on money somewhere. Like, it's just inevitable, like in this scenario, because obviously Topps is going to look at this and say, okay, they have all the, the salespeople, they have all the customer data, so they're going to say, okay, who bought this at the certain rate? They're just going to have to refund basically everyone that bought the thing at a certain rate. They're going to have to go through, maybe probably some sort of sales data and figure out who the confirmation of buying it. And I guess actually now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe it won't be as easy because it's like it's going to have to probably be like the people maybe the distributors there'll be somebody from basically the first sale from Topps to whoever the first sale was. That's who is probably going to have to contact Topps and then get some of the money back. And then that distributor will probably then have to just fund out, if hobby places, if hobby shops or people bought the boxes, there's going to have to be some sort of refund. But because there are so many steps, unfortunately, from Fanatics and Topps selling the product to a customer getting a pack or a box and opening it, it's someone along the way is probably not going to get a refund, or someone along the way is not going to get their money back. I would imagine, I don't know, Topps is probably going to have to do some sort of either buyback or rebate program here with any boxes that are sold. And yeah, I think, like I said, it's just unfortunately it will probably be fairly easy for Topps to figure out who maybe was buying them at a certain price. But then, like I said, the second point is just that along the way, somebody, unfortunately, is going to be losing money, whether it's, the person whether it's the hobby shop that bought it from a distributor, or it's a person that bought it from the hobby shop, or if it's like a person that's buying into a break, or it's like a person that's buying a pack of cards. Somebody is unfortunately not going to get their money back here. And then the second point, which I think is actually a much bigger point to all of this, is that it feels like this is more or less it's obviously a communication issue in Topps somewhere, and I think it is the growth since Fanatics acquired Topps, that different departments are not communicating correctly, obviously. I think
I'm not sure if this is 100% true, to be honest. This is how I would picture kind of some of the corporate structure between Topps. Like, it's either a couple things. It's either the each individual department works on every single product, and they work on every single product, and the departments just aren't communicating that way. Or I think there could be a structure where it's like a certain team is working on the flagship set, a certain team is working on the Bowman set, a certain team is working on like a list of smaller products, like potentially. And then within that, I think that there are probably other teams that are all working there. But like, if I had to guess, it's the growth of those certain departments where, they're on a deadline. They're probably got a tight deadline here, and somebody isn't communicating somewhere, because that's what ends up happening. It's like, you don't have a one-to-one communication. Like, if there's an issue, you probably are going down a couple different steps until the person that's communicating this issue is communicating to the person that can actually even fix the issue. Like, you probably have some sort of manager of something that is like a regular, maybe a junior level manager or something that has to communicate to a senior level manager, and then that senior level manager then has to communicate with the department manager, and clearly that's what's going on here. And I think it's also unfortunate that these are happening with some of Topps' biggest products, and that's why they're getting all this attention. So it does make me a little bit, and this is also why I think that it's probably certain specific teams that are working on specific products. Like, there's probably a flagship team, there's probably a Bowman team, because like, if this is what's happening, if and I listed these couple things on Twitter that I thought were some of the issues that I've seen Topps have over the past year, in terms of like a miscommunication where somebody did something or someone said something or something happened where like that wasn't supposed to happen. So like, first, I listed off 4 things that I could think of off the top of my head. Bronny James, which I talked about this earlier and in previous weeks. Bronny James being announced he signed an NIL deal around the same time when Topps Chrome McDonald's All-American's coming out, but then he's not going to be in that product. He's going to be in the next year's product, which actually we got details for, so he's definitely confirmed for that product. You have the Victor Wembanyama card that I don't know what happened here. Like, I don't know if they accidentally put in 99 redemptions into the product, and that meant like the one redemption couldn't be really fulfilled because like the card was supposed to be a special card, but like then they put the 99 in, so they had to figure something else out, and it wasn't announced until like months after the product release. So it's like that doesn't really make much sense to me, in my opinion. And then recently the double superfractors. I mean, that's in Bowman Chrome for baseball. There were 99 double superfractors, and then this, where the configurations of the box are not what they were being sold at. It's unfortunate that these are the biggest products that Topps has, and that they're making these pretty big mistakes on these products, because it's going to get the most attention. And like I said, it makes me a little bit nervous for some of the other products that aren't as popular. Like, are these issues happening in other products, and the only reason we don't really know is because no one's talking about it, because it's not a flagship. It's not Bowman. Like, are these things? And then also it makes me nervous for like what products are coming down the line. Like, are there going to, I really think that Topps is going to have to take a huge step back here and like look at these products that they're coming out with. Like, I don't even know how you fix this, because like I said, with products, it's like it's not just like we make a product, it gets produced, it gets backed, it gets sent out like within a week. It's like months and months and months and months of planning for these products. So like, what's the next issue that's going to happen? Like, I think that's kind of some of the, I would, if I am Topps, and I don't know if they even can do this realistically, I am delaying any new products that come out until we can look at any issues that are potentially going on and fix them. Like, I don't know if they could do that. I don't know if they have to wait until next year, or what they have to do to really fix this situation, because these are the biggest products that are coming out, and there are massive, there are issues that are product altering that are like massive, and it's like, if the attention to detail isn't there on these massive products, like is there even attention to detail on stuff, like, I don't know, like heritage, like are people are people keeping track of heritage, like, or is this an issue with like a single department potentially that was doing things that were, they weren't doing things correctly? Like, or is this just a fact that like there are so many people now working for that company that it's really hard to QC every single, because that's also the thing with these. It's a job. So to sit here, and I understand the criticism, and I understand, in my opinion, I think some of the criticism is a little bit too harsh online. But I think to sit here and look at somebody who's just working a job, like, you know, everybody has a, like, or, you know, other than, you know, there are people that don't have 9 to 5s, but for the most part, a lot of people have 9 to 5s. And if you just look at that, that's just your job. Like, you're not, like, you, like, it's, and for a lot of people that work at Tops, it's just their job. Like, it's not, like, sure, there's probably people who love, you know, I don't know, different industries like sneakers or different random industries where they look at something and they say, well, I would love to work in that industry. And I'm sure that's the way with sports cards a lot. But there's also people who are just like, it's just another, Tops is just another company. It's just another job. It's just, and to sit here and say that we have never made mistakes at our job is just not correct. Now, unfortunately, the mistakes that are being made are not just like something that can be quickly fixed. They are mistakes that are going to take months and months and months of really like digging into figuring out what happened and where there were mistakes, because this is a massive issue for Tops. Like, this is like we are in a period where customer loyalty is extremely important, because the people who went through the era of the past couple years and that are still out here buying sports cards, they are the diehard fans. Like, I think the industry has weeded out, I think, a lot of maybe the people who they don't really love the industry. They don't really love cards. They're maybe just in it for the money. So the people who are buying these cards right now, they are diehard fans. And I understand the episode's going a little bit long here, but I think that this is an important point that, I don't know. I don't know if anybody at Tops is listening to this. I just think that there are a bunch of things that Tops needs to address, and they need to realize that this era right now, like over the next, this year, also, Fanatics is under such a microscope because the industry is, because Fanatics is coming in and trying to really take over everything, and every move, everything that they're going to do is just going to be under a microscope. So it's like, and honestly, the crazy part about this is that these issues are not even like, they're not even like microscopic issues. They're like massive, huge issues that Tops and Fanatics are going through right now. So, you know, I don't know what they're going to do. I think, you know, if they put a pause, the way that PSA to put a pause on their grading to figure out these issues and figure out what they need to do, I would say that's probably smart. But at the same time, all of these issues are kind of different in their own way. So it's like, it's hard to really pinpoint probably where the issue came from and what the solution to the issue is going to be. If you have listened to, I don't know how long you've been listening, but if you've been listening for a while, you probably have heard my, I don't know, disdain, my, you know, it's a paradox that I think I'm in when it comes to prospects and prospecting and products that include prospects. Because look, I love prospects. I mean, it's really just one of my favorite parts about sports cards. It's one of the most dangerous parts about sports cards. It is, I don't know what it is about it. It's just, maybe it's like the new thing. I love being able to be on top of the next new thing or the next player that's going to be the big player or whatever. But, so this, I guess, may come as a little shock, today's episode, potentially, but I do think that Bowman Chrome U, I think, is going to change the sports card industry. I think the fact that Topps was able to get the NIL contracts and get players, basketball and football, get some of them their first Bowman cards while they are still in college is, like, so massive, and it's like, I actually can't believe that Panini couldn't figure out how to get players in their, like, I can't figure out why Panini could not have gotten and it's probably as NIL. They couldn't get the players in their college uniforms before they were drafted. So they get drafted and these products come out after they're drafted. So it's like no one even cares about these college products. And it's honestly, it's why college products get such a bad rap, I think, in the industry, is because Panini just didn't, like, I don't know what, oh, sorry, excuse me. I don't know, like, it probably was NIL. If I'm going to be honest, it probably had something to do with NIL, why they couldn't get these players into their cards. But it's like, as soon as NIL happened, how are you not completely changing your marketing strategy around these cards? Like, I get that they probably have, like, a long lead time, but it's like, it's just like Topps capitalized on this opportunity, and I think they're doing a really phenomenal job at these products. Obviously, I think the classes that they have this year, like they did Bowman Chrome U last year with like Bryce Young and players, and I think CJ Stroud, but they weren't licensed. Like they didn't have Bryce Young was probably lucky because Alabama doesn't really have that many logos on their jerseys, so realistically, it was probably just the one little jersey logo that they had to Photoshop out. And I think probably even with Ohio State, maybe potentially two. I'm not 100% sure there. But either way, I think like Topps this year I think that they've done a phenomenal job getting players on this checklist that I think are going to be high draft picks, and they're going to get their first Bowman. Now, like I said, prospecting, it's dangerous. So if you are listening to this podcast and you're thinking, who's the prospect that I should go out and buy, don't listen to anybody's advice about what prospects to buy. Take everybody's opinions about prospects and then watch them yourself and then do the research yourself and then figure out which ones you want to buy. For example, I love Shedeur Sanders. I love Caleb Williams. And I mean, these are two of the biggest names in the whole entire product. I love Travis Hunter. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. And they're all in this Bowman football product. Obviously, these are some of the biggest names, and they probably are going to have some of the biggest price tags as well. So, I don't know. You may find players that you like more that you think are going to have a better opportunity to, maybe there's a player in this product right now who isn't really in the Heisman race, but we're 5 weeks in. We still have another probably, let me see. We probably have another like 4 or 5. No, probably like, I think Thanksgiving is when the season ends for college football. So that means we would have like, let's see. I don't know. I can't do the math right now. It's probably six more weeks. So like within this next 6 weeks, who knows what player could be in this product that could be like a hidden gem that you could buy and then sell like if they make it to the playoffs, they have a good bowl game, or they get drafted or stuff like this. And it just gives, I think, collectors and, well, I guess, I don't know, investors, I don't know if you want to call it that, but it gives collectors and people who are buying and selling sports cards another opportunity to do that. It just gives them another opportunity to buy a card at, whatever the price is and then sell it in the future for a higher price. And I think but also on the same hand, I think you're going to have people that are paying a high price for some cards, and then those players are not going to pan out. They're going to get to the NFL. I don't know. Bryce Young is not having a great start to the season. He was the number 1 overall pick. CJ Stroud, number 2 pick, is having a pretty good start to the season. I mean, I think he, I don't know if he threw an interception this week, but I know he had the most, at one point he broke the NFL record for most pass completions without an interception to start your NFL career. So that's obviously phenomenal. So like I said, take all of this with a grain of salt. That's what I'll always say. I'll never come out, at least I shouldn't come out and say, like, I 100% guarantee this is going to be the player that you want to buy. But I do think that the Bowman Chrome U universe, if that's a thing, if it, like, whatever, I think we're going to continue to have them do these products potentially and see the Bowman U universe expand and become one of the most popular kind of genres of sports cards, because I have said this a billion times, they are tapping into fan bases that have not been tapped into yet. They're tapping into the Colorado fan base, they're tapping into the Alabama fan base. They're tapping into the Ohio State fan base. These fan bases that, like, sure, maybe they have a couple players go to the draft, but like, and I think Colorado's a little bit different this year. Maybe Ohio State's even a little bit different, and Alabama's a little bit different, but like, once those players go to the draft, unless they go on to be superstars, like, the chances that, or if they won a national championship, like, that's another reason why, like, for Alabama, Ohio State, I think they're probably in that kind of conversation. But it's like, these players, people that are Ohio State fans, or they're Alabama fans, or they're Colorado Buffalo fans, they had no reason to be into sports cards because they didn't really see their players go on to do these crazy things in the NFL, and maybe they don't want to collect. They don't want to collect a card of a Browns card, like, or they don't want to collect like a Carolina Panthers card or something like that. They'll collect the Alabama card because they're an Alabama fan, and it's growing the opportunities, I think, for sports fans to become sports card collectors, which is not. I think it's something that they've been trying to do for a couple years, but they really haven't figured out the formula. And I think that this is potentially one of the formulas that's honestly going to really help drive these fan bases into becoming more fans of sports cards. I guess it's kind of two things, sort of with Topps that actually it is sort of wild actually that Panini has sort of just. It seems like they're just kind of like they're not. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that they're not doing innovative stuff, or just the fact that Topps is really trying to innovate, and some of their innovations are just like not doing well. You know, like there was another controversy today where there's I guess there's two 148 number 148 or 149 cards in the Topps update, like the base set. So that was one issue that we saw today. And then the other one was that, like, they did this new thing with, with the players that switch teams in the offseason. They're doing a new card with, like, relics from, it didn't make a lot of sense, and I saw a lot of people angry about it, but it didn't make sense to me what exactly they were doing. It was, like, the first mass-produced is what they called it. Topps called it this. They said the first mass-produced jersey of this player. Like, what does that even mean? Like, it really, that's sort of vague. And I get that to some people it's like mass-produced is something that we talk about with cards all the time. So it's like the fact that they're using kind of a term that I feel like companies don't, like, it's a company using that term, not the like a collector. It just seems like it's weird that it would be a company saying mass-produced, which is sort of something that people have been talking about with sports cards over, I don't know, the past 5-6 years, like that they're mass-producing these cards or whatever. And so that was just, people didn't really like that, I guess. But one thing that I think I'm actually pretty excited about is they announced what product the MLB debut patch cards will be in. And I guess it's going to be Topps Chrome Update, which with Topps Chrome, they only have Topps Chrome and then Topps Chrome Update. It's not like how they have Series 1, Series 2, and Series 3, or Update for the flagship. So, I think that this just gives collectors a better opportunity to pull this card. Like, the one thing that I think Panini did that maybe people didn't really like in the sports card industry was, like, they came out with this triple logo man card and they put it in the most expensive product, so it made it so hard to get. And I'm not even really necessarily calling that card is going to be at that level, but like it feels like this could be it could be a very important card for a player, and I'll be interested to see the sort of design and how they go about putting these patches into Topps Chrome, because they are really going to have to put some extra spacers in there. And I feel like this is obvious, but maybe, I don't know. Like, the card is probably going to be heavier than most of the other cards if they're putting the patch on the card. Like, I don't know exactly what the card's going to look like or how it's going to be designed. This is sort of, Topps and Fanatics have kind of done this, where they have announcements in multiple phases, where, they announce the patches at the beginning of the season. They don't come out with anything until the end of the season, and now it's going to be in Topps Chrome Update. Now, does that mean that, I guess my next question would be, like, the Ella De La Cruzes of the world, like, are they going to be in the first Topps Chrome? Is it going to be in the first Topps Chrome for next year, or is it going to be like a top? Because this is where I think that's probably the case. That's probably what they're going to do, just so that way with Topps Chrome Update for each year, they'll have the second set of rookies that weren't on that the opening day roster, or didn't make their debuts late enough into the season to not be included in that year's product. So I would say, like, the Ella De La Cruz one will probably be in the first Topps Chrome for next year, because I guess that would be De La Cruz's first Topps Chrome rookie. I don't think he wouldn't have a rookie in this one, because I think they did the right before he got called up. It's so funny that they did this. Right before he got called up, they switched it from the RC logo to the call up logo. Right before it, like literally a day before Ellie De La Cruz got called up. It was super funny. So he'll probably be in next year's Topps Update with this patch. Topps Chrome for next year. Which, yeah, I think putting it in a product like this makes it more available for customers. I don't know, like, how much does it really, if it's going to drive the price up significantly, I don't really love that, because, then it's sort of, I don't know. The card obviously becomes harder to get because the packs and the boxes are harder to get. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know, we'll see sort of what Topps' plan is when it comes to how they're going to sell the product and what they're going to do with pricing and all that kind of stuff. Like, are they going to change the pricing? Like, we don't really know. I feel like there's a lot of things that are in sort of limbo here with Topps and Fanatics. So, I don't know. Like I said, we'll see sort of what these cards look like. We only really have the announcement that they're going to be in there. We haven't seen any of the designs yet, but I would imagine we'll probably get those in the near future with that product kind of coming out in the next few months.